We are live, it says.
Beautiful.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Jostein, hosting What If? The Search for Truth. We have Josh with us today. Let me see. We are live. Okay.
Well, it's a very...
What? Sorry. Welcome. I was a bit set off with conspiracies.
Yes.
The trap of conspiracies. Let's do first. If anyone's listening, how is our audio? Is it more or less the same volume-wise? If not, we can try to make some adjustments. So, conspiracies.
All had some time spent with looking at these types of things.
We all have, I believe. You know what? Maybe can I just read what I wrote to go with the show, like the show notes, and then maybe I can say just a few things how conspiracies have, been in my life, and then you can, take it away.
Absolutely.
So what I did write is that I believe most people on the truth journey are or have been caught up in a lot of the conspiracies that are out there. And there is no lack of them. Some are probably more based on truth than others, and some are probably a pure distraction. Are we on a wild goose chase, spending time trying to understand them, or are they a necessary step on the ladder to reach enlightenment? We may even spend a lot of time trying to convince others about what we see. God knows I've spent my fair share of time on my journey trying to show others, and of course wasted a lot of time trying to convince them that I have found the truth. That was before I came to the realization that all I know is that I know nothing. I have a perception based on what kind of information has gone through my sensory system, as have all other beings. So we all have our perception, our own truth, as many like to call it. I'm not sure what I feel about calling it my truth. Isn't it just one truth? But to actually know, that I believe comes at a later, more evolved state, if ever, maybe in another dimension. What we are trying to do in the X family, putting truth in application, I believe will get us closer to the real truth than anything else. What can beat your own experience if you are a true observer? Socrates is claimed to have said the words I mentioned earlier, I know that I know nothing. This humbleness is attributed to wisdom. If your peers know, they are probably not very open to being wrong. Tune in to see what Josh has to say about these things. I just, like I mentioned in these notes, nobody has said anything about the audio, so I guess it's okay. Maybe Josh, you can say a few words just to see if we are, so they can.
Hey, everyone.
At least when you're sitting like that, it would be good.
If you
So,
hear me better, I'll make sure that I sit closer.
yeah.
Bright light out of my
I'm
eyes.
sure they will let us know if there's some issues. So yeah, my journey started, I guess you can say, with the conspiracies. I remember very well. It was a movie. I don't know if you see it, Josh. Seen it, Josh? It was called Zeitgeist.
Yeah, I think that I did when I was very young.
So I remember that movie. It was about religion, the banking system, and all these things that, opened your eyes and probably pushed me down the rabbit hole. And there's no way back. So this led to a journey where you started to being outspoken with what you have found without knowing. But at the time, I was quite sure that what I have found was to be, also, Josh is not very loud. Yes, it's good. Okay. So I spent years trying to. I spent years. It's actually, it has taught me so much. Being, in a, let's say, a discussion or debate, or maybe at times an argument on social media with somebody who definitely don't see it the way you do. So I spend a lot of time debating, arguing, discussing, close out from both parties. And what you quickly, or not quickly, because it was a process over many years, but a discussion where both parties have their close out, nobody goes away a winner from that discussion. Not that this is a competition, but anyway. But what I learned is that as I came to the conclusion, or the knowing that I don't know anything, I have a perception, based on what I have taken in of information, and I might be wrong. So with that in mind, I took a totally different approach when I did discuss. So if you say to somebody, if you're butting heads, which will lead to nothing good, or if you come across like, yes, I hear what you're saying and you might be right, but for me it looks like this and that, and it always, you can always end those discussions on a positive note and with a friendly tone. So it was very
One of those stages, when you have this belief, again, it's a belief because it's not a grand, deep knowing. It's just something that's been shared with you through someone else's opinion, someone else's belief. It may seem very true because of the way that it's been presented to you, but it's not direct in your experience. So then you go through this space of trying to speak to others to try to bring them into you. But again, this would be their truth. So it's just a stage of evolution, and then coming to terms with something such as what this vessel, what this awareness, this piece of life sees is purposely for this life. And everything else is for the other lives in their expansion and evolution here on this plane. So as a part of that evolution, we tend to, let's say we open our eyes, we start to see the lies of the world. And then we start to try to change things external to us. So then that is one of the first traps that we try to do within this conspiracy. We want to change things. What if I said that this very purpose of the place that we exist is...
Sorry to interrupt you, brother. Just a few people who say that you're a bit low. I don't know if you're maxed. You probably need to get closer.
I am very maxed. Let me try and talk into it this way, and if that is any better.
That is better.
Let me see, because it might be on a different angle.
You probably need to get quite close.
There we go. So.
Better.
It's absolutely perfect by its design, the world. And everything inside of this world is for the expansion of one's own evolution. So when we see and recognize something of the world, this is to actually separate us from that. Because the world itself causes separation from the self. And as we get into this discussion, we will then see the very reason for these conspiracies. And what we don't want to try to do is get trapped within a conspiracy and consistently stay focused with it, because it's absolutely perfect by its design. Without the world being a negative viewpoint, it would be perfect. Thus, there would be no need for your evolution, and you would have no questions. So all the allegories that you have fallen from the Garden of Eden and now you are here in this purgatory space is because the very questions that are arisen within inside your awareness itself. So here is for the answers. Of course, the world is upside down. And of course, everything inside of it is the absolute opposite of the truth. And a grand story that we can fall trapped to. And as we go through, we will reveal these lies that are very necessary for our expansion and evolution, because without these lies, there would be no recognition of the false system. It would be very difficult to see. And as we are here, and we are not perfect because of the nature of the belief of the body mind, the separation from the self, we must find our way back to this self, which is pure in its nature. It's a grand game, and it's a grand experience that we have thought up or manifest within inside ourselves for a great purpose, to continually expand, to grow. And this is the purpose of these conspiracies. There are many different viewpoints of conspiracy, but what we don't want to do within these conspiracies is get emotional, fixated, and change, because your will is your will, and the will of yourself is the absolute within inside. It's a direction, it's a great space, a drive, a devotion to the next level of your experience. And if someone else goes against your will or your will, there's a very oppressive nature. And if you surrender to the will of others, a thought or a demon, let's say, will manifest within inside your own awareness that will continually recycle itself until you have become free from that oppression or oppressor. So there's so many different possibilities here within inside oneself, and everything is designed so very perfectly. And one of the very first places to look for your freedom is to give attention to the things that are positive. You know, attention on these negative things brings this negative outlook on the world itself, but attention on the positive things brings to light all of the beautiful creation that is available for one to expand itself. So do you give your time and focus on veiling the lies of, let's say, 9/11 from 2001, finding out all this deception that was attached to it? Or can one see beyond that and see the very purpose of it? Again, everyone who's going through these experiences themselves must go through these experiences that they're going through. But a great pointing as such is to see beyond these conspiracies and continually evolve. And as you evolve past, your perception will heighten, and then the truth will be revealed internally as a revelation. So it's a very dynamic. If we just speak on maybe 9/11, you know, we have something so grand, so much information. I mean, I think lots of things have been censored maybe in the last 10 years, but around about 2006, 2007 to maybe 2012, there was such a great conspiracy movement. You know, there was so much information that you could be found on this thing. So number 33 is a great number. It's the number of vertebrae that go within your system. You go around the alphabet once and it represents G. It is a number that represents enlightenment. It's 22 out of 11. So it's the two master numbers. 9 is a number of consciousness, and 11 is L even. It represents the pillars, the temples within inside yourself. The material plane, the ego mind, and the spiritual domain, the essence, and you could say the etherical web that unifies all. And 9/11 represents that balanced consciousness. So 33 years previously, till they fell, they were built to the day. Now, this is a representation of when one builds the temples to get to the pinnacle of your truth. You have to collapse everything inside yourself. You have to be immaculate and free from all concepts. And all concepts keep you fixated and held to the material plane. And there's no realization of this Godhead that exists here, the all-seeing eye, the eye that can never be seen but sees all. And as you go through these dimensions within inside yourself, each dimension has certain limitations attached to it. Ground zero, Z, is the longitudinal wave. This is what we are in search for energetically. When one transcends the ego and exists in a pure state of seeing as the highest awareness within inside themselves, this is where the Z wave attaches to. This physical body, being, unified Holy Spirit, Holy Trinity, is this wonderful magnetic perpetual motion that exists here energetically. So the zero itself is a representation of a void, and you have number 9 as consciousness and number 11 for these temples. You know, and then you can also go into the depths of things. Okay, there was thermite; it was still glowing at certain temperatures between 1100 degrees, 2-3 strongs weeks later. The only thing that was strong enough to cut the steel was this, and it had to be built with the actual building itself. And then you can go into the other things. And what truly is happening is there's a CGI, that there's a great media, there's an intelligence, a central intelligence space that creates a governing of the mind. It builds a perception for one, that attention is focused on something external rather than here. A fixated mind that needs constant attention, or let's say constant distraction from itself, because quiet space is not welcomed by the ego. It's very difficult to sit in silence with such a noisy repeating cycle of ego when one's attention has slipped and is consistently on the thinker. So it's all about fear. It's all about dominion over your purity. It's all about distraction from yourself, with so many different avenues that one can go into a belief. But was it here? Is it necessary for your experience? Or have you just created a whole scenario within inside yourself for a vibration of fear to sit inside here that can never be figured out unless one truly goes on the journey? It's a very long journey. And I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And every single conspiracy that ever existed, I had to make myself aware of these truths, because that's what freed me without any teacher.
Do you have a clear recollection, or a date, or was it when your twin pillars fell?
It's such a journey.
Mm.
Every time that one has a question arises, it has to be answered or surrendered. And the questioner itself, again, is a dimension that sees the thinker, but is involved so much with this body mind that the temple can begin to fall when one's attention is taken off of this level of dimension, the egoic thinking, into the present state, where there's no senses, there's no pre-sense, there's no concept, there is just this isness. And that again is another dimension that frees you here and is on a journey to absolute, and then a collapsing of all concept. But the presence itself is such a wonderful space. It's enlightenment, but enlightenment is not the absolute goal. Enlightenment is not the absolute. It's still experienced by the absolute. It's just a freedom. It's a liberation from cycling of samsara, the birth, life, and death belief that one has fixated in the ego, body, mind. But it's not the absolute. The absolute sees that. But can you see as the absolute? This is the wonderful space that we all contemplate with. And these conspiracies, again, they can if you don't stay fixated on a conspiracy, you walk through, you would say, you go through the fog, you walk through the mud. You know, this is the allegories that we may have heard, all this unsurety, and you can become clear. I'm not sure if there's, this information that was available then is even available at this present time. It might be on different search engines, but if one truly goes to the depths of things, you will see that everything that you see and hear on the media is actually constructed. Everything, bar the odd few things, even the weather itself, the weather that we have is absolutely controlled. Depending on where you are in the world, you will find that the weather is more controlled than others, but it is fully controlled for now. And rather than try to change something which is out of your control, you learn to see it for what it is, why it is, and then you fall into this space of acceptance, which gives you your freedom. You don't want to change anything that you see has this great purpose, because without these chemtrails flying over your head, would you have become aware? Would you have started your journey? Or maybe you would still be doing the same things that you did with no true awareness. The automatic machine.
But the conspiracies is not like to go through the conspiracies, try to investigate and find out, and these things, that it's not necessary. It's actually, I know you said this before, that's why I know that it could be very well be the ego that wants you to get this knowledge. So the knowledge itself about either one of them or any of them is not a, like I mentioned here, it's like a stepping stone to enlightenment.
Yeah. Knowledge and wisdom, they're two very separate things. And again, it's always been available here. It's always been available in this moment. But sometimes people have to go through these when they're on their own to experience certain levels of freedom, to bring them to this space if they truly are seeking. But if one's a seeker, what are you seeking for? You continue to look and you continue to fill up the ego, the mind, with information. Now, where does information lead you? Where? If information is here without application, how will you ever become wise? How will you ever know? How will you ever expand yourself? The information without application is just oppressive, it's fearful, it's suppressive, it's very weighted. You are putting in so much that this doesn't understand, because it's not of its own experience, that there's more separation, there's more pain body, there's more suffering. And this suffering that one experiences is the pointing to that which you do is not causing a freedom. It's creating more limitations. Limitation is the limitation, the imitations. Non-experiential. It's a belief. Be lie. With an F in matter. It's a material lie. Otherwise, these things would be called truth. And they're not called truth, because truth is what it is. And that which has been experienced by you is your truth. This is why the X family is truth in application. So as we apply this truth, we truly expand. And all the courses that we have, they're directed to the most simplicity to evolve one's being in such a short amount of time that it can be done so rapidly. But it can be done here and now. Who are you? Tell me who you are. As soon as I ask this question and stare deep into yourself, you've lost the mind. Tell me who you are, and then you'll try to answer this question, but you won't know, because you are nothing. And the freedom lies right there in that moment. But can you continue to give your attention to the grace of that which you are?
So you're nothing, but you're also everything.
Everything arises from you. You are no thing, but yet see everything. You can never be found. That can never be fathomed by the mind or the person. And that is one dimension inside yourself that exists simultaneously, side by side, all of these other seeings, perceptions, and limitations. And it depends where you sit as your attentive awareness, because you are pure attention. You are nothing else. You are focused attention. You see, whatever you give your attention to manifests into the world, into this experience. It will come, and the attention will go from the very fact that it has come, yet this thing that one gave attention to came to reality, and then it's forgotten. And how did it happen? We ask for jobs. We ask for things that are so limited. We could ask for so much more. We can be so much more. Again, these conspiracies keep us so very limited, very angry, and continually searching for happiness and freedom. Because if the world knew the earth was flat, everything would be fixed. This is what one would say fixated on the flat earth. It would just have a domino effect, and people would realize that this is all lies. But it wouldn't, would it? Because the earth may be physically flat in the physical domain, but still beyond the physical domain is an energetic field that exists that allows this to be seen, but seeing this also seen from the dreamer. So yourself, or the highest self, has created this within inside itself for the person mind to get lost in it within its play. So you say this magnetic field, the perpetual space for the plane and the planet, the physical plane that we exist on, is the ultimate. And if you understand all of this energy, then you know the secrets to the universe. You know the secrets to the universe that you already created within inside yourself. But knowing the self, you know that all of this is created by your self as it's expanded to separate itself in, to lose itself, to answer some questions and experience, to then come back to the space that sees all, that all arises from within. So last night when you went to sleep, did you dream?
Not really. I don't dream too much for different reasons. But but I sometimes I dream. I do.
Yeah. So there's a dream state that you go through during your sleep. They can be very vivid, and you can create these dreams inside. As you drift off, you can experience so much dream, so much experience. Time is irrelevant. A whole lifetime can be experienced in one evening, one sleep. And that's as real as it is here. The mind itself has created this limitation. And it will continue and continue till you become free. If you don't like the toil, if you don't like the pain, if you don't like the world, be free. Take these pointings, apply them to your life, and become whole again. The atonement, the act one meant, the uni on. This is religion. The conspiracy of religion and all religious believers, they even separate themselves and become angry and feel like their doctrine is the absolute. But the application of this doctrine is where? It's here. Within our website, within our community, within ourselves. And the application of this expands, and it continues to expand. It aligns the geometry of the body. It allows someone to see the aspects of their mind, to realize that this is just a noise. And I never even realized that I've been recycling this. I was very limited because everything within inside this mind is what I have seen. How can this original being express itself with its attention fixated on that space, on that mind. Now, remember back in the day when there was such a terror on the ozone and how there was going to be a hole within the ozone and then it disappeared and it's never spoken of again.
Freon gas, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It killed all the beautiful high hair hairstyles of the 80s. Everybody had to quit using hairspray.
Yeah. And again, you know, those things there that caused so much fear for people have just dissipated and left, and then we're on to the next thing, the new distraction. And what's going on within the world right now, we call it the crown, just so we don't get this video taken off. Research the crown chakra and see the correlation with that word, this virus, let's say. You can spend a lot of time coming to the realization of what it is by taking other people's opinions and coming to this belief. Or one can just take a small search of what it is inside the body and why a virus appears within inside the body. And it's to do with bad bacteria. Where does this bacteria come from? It comes from the food people consume. And why do these seasons cycle and these flus happen periodically? Our body likes to cleanse, and viruses cleanse the system. Magnetic fields align perfection. So these magnetic fields that happen due to alignments, seasons, you will see that there's a flu on each one. And this is because the body's chemistry is aligning with it's the micro and macrocosm in union that causes a detox. So if one's body has impurities, then one's body will detox. We had the world's greatest conspiracy that's never been spoken of, and it's the food conspiracy. That what is your natural food? What should a human be eating? And very common logic, you know, for example, we have the very first thing for most people is to find that the fluoride's in the tap water, you know. They're putting fluoride in the tap water. The truth is why? Why? Because your tap water is recycled and it has poo and wee and chemicals inside of it. So they got to make sure there's not going to be harmful to you, and this thing kills all this life. So it's just added to the water to make sure that those that are within a system of water that is recycled from when one goes to the toilet and flushes these types of things, nothing can really survive inside of it. And if one truly knows the source of that water, would you have that water? Or is it for the unconscious? Is there a reason why properties are called properties? They're properties. Properties. Property is a proper tie. A mortgage is a death pledge. You're in a system that gives you the verbatim and the words so you can see you are government. You are governed in the mind. If your attention is fixated on the business of that which is the country, and you have a belief system, or even you're against the system that is in play, you're causing yourself suffering. Now, we as the aware can unify one physical. Unify. Phi is the phi cycle of the phi ratio, which is the Fibonacci sequence. We can unify together. Now, if we have some beings that really focus their self and they're really into this law space and they know how to create trust, you can create your own country that works alongside this commercial system that is understood, that is recognized, and everything that you do as a collective is respected within that paradigm, thus creating an unlimited freedom for those that are within the trust of that country. So these things will be coming to light, they will be manifesting. It's just a period that we're going through now for the most absolutely perfect separation between those that are conscious and unconscious. Because those that are unconscious, if this world never had this wonderful thing that we're going through right now, we wouldn't be able to see who does not live in fear, who does not, let's say, who is a rebel, or REBL, to rightfully establishing being L, and L is the EL, or the root Sanskrit word for God. The rebellion is to rebel ion, and this true rebellion or rebel that exists is somebody that brings herself back to the truth from the anti-truth, the antichrist, the occult, the magic, the mysticism. And the world has tainted all of this beauty with conspiracy, that it is devil. What's the devil, my brother?
Just speaking us about the devil and Satan, because Organic Intelligence had a question. He says, or she actually. I have a question here in the States that I have a question here in the States. They are having a school, the School of Satan, called Satan's Children. Josh, can you please give your perspective? It's an after-school program.
The question here in the States, we're having the School of Satan. So, one thing I'd have to ask, is it in all schools or is it in a school? And depending on what they teach, the word Satan itself, it means nothing without some context behind it. Satan, if you've been told Satan is bad, then I would say that it's just a concept that's trying to create fear within inside of you. Satan is a concept, and good and bad are both concepts. All things that are seen are just are, and this is. Something holds physical value. The reason why the T is attached, because T is the physical. So this is why it's called it. Even the word this, THIS, is the physical vibration of a conscious sine wave. And that's why this has some objective nature to it. So I would say that these things, if they arise within inside the school system, is to create controversy, is to create fear, is to create conspiracy, is to distract.
She says they're putting it in the news and advertising like it's a cool club.
Cool. That sounds good. If it's a cool club. No, these things here are up to the individual, each parent, each mother, father, depending on what you are. Everything is perfect, even for the children that go through these things. So it's an expansive journey for everyone. And, falling to the trap of something called Satan is an absolute trap, because is it here? Is it now? Is it in your awareness? Is it brought to light via a stream of some magical screen, or a magical book, or a magical newspaper? And you continue to do yourself and be yourself, and see that all of these things here don't even come into your essence or your presence or your experience. They only come to light when the attention is drawn to them. Maybe getting free from them, is definitely an evolution. It's a slow and steady thing, especially within the Western world. The truth is available now, here. But are you attentive enough to keep your attention as the seer, as the eye, the greatest conspiracy, the all-seeing eye, on the back of the dollar bill? And then you can see the Mason drawn up in the five-pointed star. The five-pointed star is the absolute holy trinity in a physical symbol of three golden ratio triangles. It's absolute perfection, especially if it's pointed down. This is the perfection of the physical. And then we see this as occult, demon, satanic. And Mason, balance A, sun, M-A, sun, the Mars sun, the Freemason, to free something, to free the mother's sun, or to free the balanced, or to balance the alpha wave. This is creating pure balance, releasing everlasting life. This is the goal, or the go all. But there's no conspiracy. There's just hearsay and untruths. Again, even the Bible itself said, "Be careful of the spreaders of hearsay and untruth." So these things are put there, then the stories are placed inside the Bible itself, and it is hearsay and untruth within the very context of the book.
Mm.
You know, even the word, you know, what was the parable? Enable, Cain and Abel. So how do you become an Abel, and what do these parables do? In the word parable, you hear Abel. Para is Spanish for four. See, it's for able. So to become enabled, these parables are to enable oneself to the highest dimension within inside their self, activate their right brain by making the right choices. And this is the right choice.
A question? Arya, I have a question. Why is it that so few spiritual teachers of non-dualism, teach the holistic path, and that we are frugivore, even those that seem very enlightened like Moji?
It's a really good question.
Mm.
Really, really good.
It's,
Because some exist beyond the very concept of all physical things. So the physical world doesn't hold any ground to them anymore. The body can perish and it means nothing because they see as that which is true. The Godhead, you know, a lot of people within the spiritual movement are fixated by Kundalini awakening. It's still experienced and it's still seen by the highest within inside yourself. It's still something that comes and goes. It's not truly who you are. So we get fixated on having an experience, and that very fixation separates us from the truth. That's another conspiracy. So I would say they're not focused on anything physical, but what we're doing here is having the pointings, because of the way that I was able to create, because say a philosophy, the philosopher, the one that seeks to remove the phi through every aspect and dimension that is here available to one on a journey of themselves without any teacher, without any pointing, without anything. So uncovering this world has made it such an exciting, such a very expansive awareness to see. So I point, because I know there's so many different aspects out here, to the simplicity of each thing. And everyone has a purpose. Some people may not want to hear this. Some people may switch off as soon as I speak. But for Moji, there's one teaching, and there's a focused teaching. For Papa G, one teaching, one fixated, you know, this moment is here. But how can one slip into the moment? Yes, it's available in the presence of a true teacher. You can sit with them and you become very silent. But for the realization from the mind to unfold it, every click that we point is one's freedom. That step closer, but it must be applied to be experienced. So everything we say may sit and resonate with you, but tomorrow, can you wake up and apply? Can, in that very application, there's a resonance and a higher frequency that is instant, and you continue and you vibrate so high that you're very clean, you're very clear. You have a very heightened awareness, a very high perception as a body, mind experiencer that is still seen by the creator of all this. So I hope that makes sense. You know, I mean, frugivores themselves, you see that Moji's body is breaking down. He's got diabetes. I even offered him my services at one point, but they didn't want them. You know, he's happy. He's happy for his body to be breaking down. And these people themselves, they don't necessarily believe that the body may be a frugivore or a fruitarian. So,
but it's like you said, it is a very good question. Like all, like, you know, philosophers, you know, be it Alan Watts or Lao Tzu for that matter, like it's something that nobody has spoken about.
back in the day, like Plotinus and Pythagoras and all of these people, they always said You have to eat plants, fruits.
Oh.
This is the food. But that's been lost. It's been lost by people that, only through experience will one be able to be so empowered to say this. And, even if one goes on to the experience of fruit and is able to say this, and then they choose to go back because they're not fixated on a concept or a conspiracy, or, you know, um, if one becomes a fruitarian and then they're so fixated on fruitarian that they separate their awareness into this fruitarian concept, you just dissolve this. This is a knowing, a deep knowing that this is our natural food because of the way that it makes one feel, the purity. And as soon as you introduce other foods when you are a fruitarian, you'll see the very nature of what they cause within the body: the acidosis, the mucus, the inflammation, the swelling.
Water retention, yes, I
Yeah.
know. I'm very aware.
I mean, the skin heals. You start to eat other foods, it starts to crinkle and dehydrate. This is the most hydrating system. All conspiracies are crushed by the ultimate truth, which is just search what your body needs as a primary source of fuel: glucose and amino acids. Where's the best source of glucose and amino acids?
Fruits.
Thank you.
I believe I heard you mention this in one setting or another. I don't remember if it was a Q&A or whatever. But did you say that if one have a cooked meal, or let's say some acid-forming foods, it would be a good idea to have some fruits to kind of lay on top of that
Yeah.
in the system? It
Yeah.
is.
I mean, that's why the pudding was invented, the sweet after the food. So people would have a small amount of this fruit. Back they didn't really have candy, sweets, and all of these funny things that we have in the modern day world. But so you would fill yourself up with these root vegetables and have a dinner, etc. Then you would put these fruits on top. So it helps it push through the system, but then it ferments last. So the lasting bacteria that you find within your body is the good bacteria that you have. So it really does aid in that, and also it hydrates you after a sort of dehydrating cooked meal.
Yeah.
Living enzymes
So
are very
if
important.
one, let's say, slips up or have a calculated experience, good to have room for some fruits on top.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Always have room for some smoothie or some fruit.
I saw Perspective had a question regarding back to the conspiracies. What about 5G frequency routers? These sort of things, can they affect your awakening or your rise up the ladder?
They can affect your awakening by giving them value. By taking away the value, takes away that belief concept. So I would say, keep your attention off of these things. If they pop up around you, they're going to be there. Unless you wish to climb up and cut it down, you can go and do these things. I'm not recommending you should. You may hurt yourself, but you need to find peace. You need to be balanced. These will cause you to be imbalanced. The most healing thing that one can do for themselves is to delete the awareness on the person, the ego.
And I think you need to not swallow your microphone, but at least get closer. I see some people are mentioning that it's not so easy to hear everything, and that's a shame.
And just turn up the volume or use my. Okay. Well, can you hear me better now?
Wow, yes. So you have to,
Okay.
you actually have
I
to
should just hang it around my neck, hold it. I could
duct
hold it
tape. You don't have
instead.
some duct tape.
Yeah.
You can just
Yeah,
take it.
just put it that way around.
Yeah,
So does it sound louder here or louder here?
yeah. That's actually the same. As long as you're close, it gets a lot better.
Okay. Well, we'll just
That's
have to do whatever we
probably
can.
how it is with professional microphones.
Yes.
Um, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you. The frequencies. You,
Okay. 5G frequency.
yeah. Can
Uh,
it? Yeah.
I mean, the very frequency that you vibrate at is the very thing which creates your healing. So you vibrate negatively, you're breaking your body down more than these 5G towers. So your fear on a 5G tower is actually causing more damage than the 5G tower itself. So just become free. Don't read into these concepts. Move to the forest, grow some fruit, experience what it's like to interact with the earth instead of the social media. And this is where we're all going to be going, those that truly are living in the truth. To have a ripe fruit of a tree is like no other experience for the mouth. So we have to create our senses pleasure by souls and all these different things, which, they're okay. It's fine. You're having an experience and it is what it is. But there's nothing like a pure, ripe, dripping with water and hydration from these carbohydrates that really fuel your system. It's just so beautiful. And again, we just fall trap to these conspiracies. I mean, you look outside and you see a tree, and you look at the way that it's shaped, and you see all the wonderful branches. Branches are electrical, and you see how it's our opposite. We breathe out, and it breathes in, and we breathe in, and it breathes out. It creates shelter from the heat. It creates shelter from the cold. How does it create shelter from the cold? Well, you look outside under a tree during a heavy frost, see there's no frost because it blocks the moon. So it keeps life. It drops abundance of food without you needing to do anything. Mars. No, Mars is an absolute place on this plane. It exists beyond the ice wall, you could say, or the south of the Earth. We have planets. Stars are not planets. Planets is Greek for wandering stars, stars that move, but they're suns and moons. Venus and Mars, Saturn and Jupiter, our sun, Apollo, and our beautiful moon. And that's the system of the Earth. And there's planes that exist beyond them or beyond our space. We've always been told there's outer space, but never upper space. So outer is this way. And this is why when you see a rocket go into space, the trajectory is always up and over, up and over. It's never up because you have to go this way because it's outer space, not upper space. So yeah, I mean, there's so many, so much information and so many conspiracies involved with this, but ancient texts of these lands that exist here. But if you have a telescope or you have a keen eye and you can watch the planets and observe the nature you see, you know, it's it's just a clock. It's a torus field. They're all plasmas. Plasma is everything here.
So regarding going, up or out or whatever, people are saying, or some people are saying that we can't go beyond the Van Allen belt. Is that the truth, or is it the
Taurus?
Is it the Taurus? Yeah, the Taurus, right?
Yeah, you can't go outside the
Energy field.
Yeah, you can.
So you can go across the dielectric field or the inertia plane.
Yeah, the inertia plane. That's a plane that continues. So, as the torus itself, the field here, the inertia plane stops here. So this space is free. And within this space is the land's created. And, the very reason why we can exist on land, whether people believe it or not, is down to the wonderful tree of life. All land's created from trees. Trees petrify and turn to stone. Whether or not we have been able to see this happen over time is not really a question. You go on a walk on a beautiful mountain, or you observe mountains, or you go to some areas, you see the very beautiful trees that were there. And you can actually see roots that are turning to stone on your walk from trees that haven't been that old. In America, there's a petrified wood forest. You see these beautiful gemstones inside these tree stumps. Yeah, different trees and different environments create different things. A tree you see in a very moist environment, you may see where you have trees that have fallen and they turn very soft to earth very quickly. And then some that are very hard, they turn to stone.
How, so just back to the inertia plane.
Hmm.
The world we know, or the land area we know, has its given size. How big would you say, or how do you believe the total plane is? Until you reach the outskirts of the torus.
That's beyond me.
Oh, you don't know
Uh,
everything.
I don't want to create. I don't want to create this concept. Um, it's large, but I think it's desolate. And if I was to give any sort of, a year before this happened, what we're going through right now, I was speaking to a friend last night, helping him on his journey, and he said, "I remember when you told me in 2018 that next year there was going to be something that's going to separate man." And we lost contact, and he said he was trying to contact me to speak to me as soon as this dropped, um, because obviously he. But these things are very easy to see, in a system that's like this. It's just so very easy to see. It's vast. It's going to
Hmm.
be, Mars itself. You can watch the nature of the machine here, and you see that they're starting to speak a concept of Mars, traveling to Mars, setting up environments on Mars. Elon Musk himself is taking people there. There's a book in the 50s. A guy who was the master of Mars was called Elon. These things are written in the fabric of expression. So yeah, I think there may be some sort of event. The true event is to even T, which is your physical, bring balance to your physical. That is the only true event. But this will cause that separation. So there'll be maybe a great panic. People go because this place has too much toxins or climate change is happening, something like this. And then you're left, if you don't fear and believe the system, this will be a wonderful place to create with all of these wonderful free beings once again.
So I was going to mention it before when we talked about fear. Why or how or who decided who? Like me personally, I have never been calmer than these 2 last years.
Mm-hmm.
When this shit started, sorry, um, it was like a calmness just came over me. But it was also about the same time that I stopped thinking. So I don't know if it's a coincidence. Maybe other people have the same experience, but I have never been more positive and calm and knowing that it will all end well than I have during this period. But
It's your freedom from the world, to be able to see that it is what it is and it does what it does. And
and it's
there is
perfect.
somewhere here that absolutely is beautiful, and that needs our attention.
Mm.
Our beautiful children and our families and our earth and the trees that provide us food. Why go to a supermarket and have some packaged food that's been processed and packaged for days and days with a shelf life that is so expansive that the food contains no nutrition and life? And why not have an experience of freedom from work and busyness and utilize nature and the power of a seed? You continue to plant seeds, you plant so much abundance, there's so much excess to share or to sell, or, even while the monetary system's here, just a few people working together can free themselves up and experience what it's like to live. And the warmth and the sun and the sea and the sand and the soil and the flavors and the family and the time that you have. You know, how much time does it take to truly prepare plant-based food, for example? How much time does it take to put something in the oven? These ones that go to work, war with K, have a job. This is persecution in Hebrew. And they have this convenience food. In countries that are so cold that you don't get the fruit from the tree, that the fruit doesn't truly ripen, so you don't want to eat the fruit. Then you got these parasites and hosts inside the body that really crave these foods because they stay alive by the very food you put in from that. Because your natural enzymes and your natural bacteria cannot digest or consume death. They need life. So when your body has these protozoas, these parasites, and these bad bacteria that break down your body and turn on your body when you have them inside, and you don't have enough fuel for them, your body breaks. You have chronic disease. The only thing that repairs the body is the body itself. But if it can't repair itself because it hasn't got the alignment, the amino acid, the glucose, the energy, it can't.
I'm sorry about our little girl is a drama queen, so she makes a noise in the background. I don't know if it's if you pick it up here, but
I thought it was a beautiful evening owl.
let's say it is. But Lisa has a question that also have intrigued myself. Josh, is the whole Q movement a conspiracy? Charlie Freak is a big believer in it, and I'm curious what your thoughts are about it.
Well, I love everyone. Charlie's on his journey, and I respect him. He's a great intelligence. And he's on an expanding journey. As to the Q movement, for me, it's just a massive distraction. Has anything manifest from it? Are we not the ones that create our freedom? Is your freedom not found here? Does all this matter if all you need is to survive is your food, is a shelter? Does not one find peace in their own freedom to do that which they want or that which they will? Does work stop one from that? The reason why bills or bills and prices of your gas and heating and food keep rising because the world's saying go somewhere where it's warm. So you don't need heating bills. So you don't have to keep yourself warm. So you don't need, you know, people are, the NHS may die. Well, you don't need an NHS if you live proper. You don't need anything. Your body heals itself and you become your own doctor. So all of these things are actually built for those that are separate from the truth, pushing you to the truth. We sit and we moan about these things. Millions of people march because they're against wearing masks. Well, don't wear a mask. Work together and create freedom. It's a very simple process, and this attention slip, because the expanse is not there for a great seeing. This is why I'm here to point. This is why others are here to point. But it's a very limited few. It's, I mean, the revolution or the evolution or our evolution will never be televised because it's internalized. So we expand or contract inside ourselves with limited perceptions or expansion. And this is, we have such a great goal to liberate so many from the suffering, from pain within the physical, within the body, from, so much diseases. We're seeing it happen all the time. We don't have a massive audience as such at this present time. But when it's ready, it will expand as it ripens. Good night. So, if anyone wants to expand themselves, join. We have so much information that continually grows and application. Right now, we're doing a recipe month. We've got a PDF download, 85 to 100 transformational recipes that you go through to learn your art of food. And now we are posting a video a day of how to create certain dishes of different kinds. So you can see that there's an art.
I made the I made the carbonara the other day. No, with the mushrooms and avocado and very 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 good.
Yeah.
I loved it. My wife loved it. The kids not so much, but it's a process.
You're sweet in everything once you find out what they like, and it is a journey. But again, even textures, we create the certain size of what your children are putting in their mouth also stops them from consuming things if they live slightly Western for a small amount of time. So it's about size, about texture, it's about the nature, the cream, the taste, everything. You know, creating like a custard, like we were speaking of, and just chopping your fruit slightly smaller, having a fruit bowl that is custard like, it's so juicy with lovely fruit in it. You know, that's one way. That's a wonderful breakfast there. Orange juice first, fill up the body with glucose. Have this 10, 15 minutes later. Wonderful. Hour later, cut the whole family open a watermelon. Just put it in. Make sure you get the nice bits for the children. The center, cut it open, all the juicy ripe bits. And then you sit down, you prepare a wonderful family dinner. They learn, they grow with it. And then their attention is given to this, and they know how to look after themselves. It's a family union. It's not a distraction. It's not constant needing to fill themselves up, because they don't even like the way that life can be still sometimes. The closer we move to nature, the closer that the being corrects itself automatically, because it's a natural process. But Babylon is to be able on, to enable able. This is the Bible. Where's the bull? There's two bulls, a red shift and a blue shift. The two aspects of Taurus. They are a positive and negative. They are a hot and cold. They are mediation of pressure. This is how everything works in the phi cycle or physical. The very sweet concept created from ourselves.
I can just see if there was. I think it was. No.
So yeah,
A real question.
I just seen that question about the Q. You know, Q itself, Phoenician, is a 0 and 1 put together. It's like the on sign. It represents balance. So the Q itself is trying to create balance by the suffering that it causes. When attention's fixated on someone fixing something for you, it will never happen. It will never be done. Your feelings that you feel and the suffering that you have is because you think. And you think because of the questions that arise from these types of things. Now, all concepts are beliefs, and all beliefs aren't true. So why don't we bask into truth? Smell the sweetness. You know, you may call a rose something else, but the smell never changes.
True. Bonnie, Sister Bonnie, have a question. September 21st, 2023. What do you think will happen?
25th. A great peace. A nice relief for many. I don't want to put in fixated things, but I think there may be an event. Astrologically, depending on where we are truly in astrology, you know, that is the day. That's the day of physical judgment, let's say. But I don't want to give any fixated things to such a concept. We'll wait together and see. And when we see, we will know. And in that knowing, we will apply what we know to be best in that moment together. 2G ether. Together. To get her. The divine. Feminine. Everything is for us. Know that. Everything is for the expansion. If your awareness cannot catch on to it, then, you know, you may revolve and have another cycle here inside the great cosmic mind. But if you don't, there's going to be great joy, restoration, and rebalance. For those that have expanded to such a place, the harmony is restored here. For the very meek.
Sister Lisa said something beautiful. I found my kids really enjoying helping to make the smoothies and juice with me, or even watching the videos and thinking about food in a different way. That's a very good idea. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna show the kids your videos. EST. A question a little bit off topic. Are the PCR tests as dangerous as the vaccines or not? Because a lot of people are taking them without much thought. I find it suspicious.
Hmm. I would say, no. Vaccines themselves are just not the best thing. Having intramuscular injections full of chemicals and viruses that have been created in a laboratory, when your body has them already, the artificial uh, creation of these viruses is not harmonious with the body. The altering of your RNA and DNA is the possible thing which is causing this. As the energy changes within, you could say, the frequency of the sun, because the sun is light, this photon light is starting to change, and light is everything. The uh, the DNA will not vibrate at a certain frequency, and this is why people may be pushed over to this space somewhere else. As for the PCR tests, they're not interesting. I don't wish to do one. I wouldn't probably do one. There's always ways around things.
But I tried one. But of course, it wasn't the one you went into the brain with the test this stick. I just spat or in a yeah, and I put this thing in there and did the test just out of curiosity. I was positive, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
but I never put anything into my body.
Good.
I I took some spit and I dipped it in the spit
Yeah.
but I see everything is positive. Also, there's no.
No, yeah, you
It's
just got to
useless.
request it. Don't let other people's position of authority or what you have as an expectation that they do have authority. Nobody has authority with this apart from yourself. But, that's exactly what I would do if I had to do something like that. But I'm sure, there's always ways around everything. You just have to use your consciousness and awareness and judge that very situation and see how open they are to certain things. Currency or energy exchange is always a good thing around those type of things. And there's always great computer technology that can be utilized to create a synthesis of a report. Yeah, do what you need to do, but don't judge it because that judging will cause you fear, separation. Just be free. And then you're limited by the belief. So just have this knowing within inside yourself. If you do something, know that it's not causing harm and be free from it. At the very highest of your nature, you can really manipulate through your own internal chemistry and magic every situation that is external to you. And there's a question I can see that what do you feel about other channelings and prophecy? I mean, channeling, prophecy, clairvoyance, clairaudience, they're all available to one that truly gives their attention to it. But to know the future or to be able to see holistically from the world's point of view what it's going to be doing is a different thing. One who just gives attention on a whole will see this wholeness within inside the construct of the world. It tells you, it speaks, it continues, it shows, it gives you what it's doing in a way very slowly and subtly that is very accepted by everyone. So there's no need to prophesize, there's no need for any of these things. The best thing that one can do is just to be here present in this moment and evolve themselves and know that innately you'll always be guided to the highest truth, and everything that you experience is perfect for your evolution. So the highest or the quickest that you can evolve yourself to become free, you're going to be in the absolute space that you need to be in. Just even food awareness, small food awareness leads someone to a space of warmth, abundance, freedom. That's just one limited thing. That's a truth, though. And another truth that people have, or a belief of that you need to consume dairy and cows and all the artificial insemination, all these lives, animal lives that are created, chickens. then you have to go and do that, and then you need and you need all these things that come with it. Millions and millions of chickens or billions of chickens are slaughtered every month, and those chickens, you can have one perception on the chicken. You could say these poor chickens are suffering um, day in and day out. Or you could say that these chickens wouldn't have even existed without that very concept happening. They wouldn't have been born. They wouldn't have been there. And they get to experience some sort of life. And if one truly knows the dynamics of consciousness, that when one consciousness or one experience, experiencing domination for, say, a human being, will experience the next level as a human being because of the very suffering that they've experienced. So it creates an opportunity for that awareness to expand to the suffering that it has. I mean, you've been through so much suffering previous to this, and now you've come out of that age of suffering. But suffering exists mentally. Physical suffering was there a lot. But is the physical real? Depends on where you see. It's all about your freedom and your happiness. That's the key.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
I have to ask, because I've seen organic intelligence write it so many times. TISM or TYSM. I don't know what that is.
I think it's thank you so much.
I learn every day.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this whole conspiracy thing, we've been through the ages, haven't we? The Illuminati, that's another big one. The Great Conspiracy, Illuminati, just means like the light and all the enlightened ones. There's so much distraction from that. We had, what do we have? Another flu, we had swine flu, bird flu, all these things that arise, they come, they go.
Spanish.
Everyone was fine. The nature of what we see now, with the volume that they've created, you would see bodies lined up in the street everywhere. Black Death was another one.
I read so.
They say they eradicated, smallpox, etc. They created it, or it was created. And again, it's just another one of these scripts within the scripture or the cryptic code. This is a manifestation. This is a phenomenon. Your perception, your attention, where do you give it? How do you experience life? It's all down to you. If you have the ability to gain control of it, to be able to see that you are awareness, to be able to see that the mind and the thinkingness or the thinker, they all arise inside yourself, and your attention on that creates that experience for you. A past, a future experience with no true experience in the moment, and then you're refed it via the intelligence or the intellect in the ego. So you experience it through the ego. This is the cycle trap, living separate from the moment. And keep your attention so pure here and now, and you really get to truly know what life is. Like, life will always be here. You sit there and you watch your children play, yet attention's on the thinkingness. And your children say something to you, and then you snap. Because you're too busy with the attentional thoughts of the past, because your attention was trying to figure out what it was. None of this is needed. Give everything your full attention, and life will blossom for you. All of these conspiracies, no matter how wonderful they are, how much we fear from them, they are not here. They are not now. Seek, if you wish to free yourself. Information is scattered. Don't look at other people's opinions. See the facts. I mean, I remember maybe 15 years ago, there was one of these stories where someone was driving through a city, running over people. Have you heard of this one? Remember it?
That's it. Yeah, I think I have a perception of that happening all the time. Also, somebody.
And this is you see, if you really go deep into it, there's the solutions there, but someone was filming, go go go, and he's a script, there's a cameraman, there's a director, and then they're put out there, and then people believe it. Yeah, you know, you just got to become free from all of these things, and the best thing you can do is give it no attention. Give it no attention, none of it. Turn off the TV, the television, you know, the box. It keeps you fixated in a state of absolute, you could say trance. This is trance state, and everything goes in deep into your awareness, right into the subconscious, which holds itself to you and your conscious movement. You know, people wonder why they dress a certain way or speak a certain way or do certain things. Be free from all of these things. Just be yourself and do that which is necessary in the moment. You don't need to be doing anything all the time. And it's very good to be sat still. It's very good to be enjoying life. You don't need to work hard, and life isn't supposed to be cruel, but it can be cruel if you're doing the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
People that do evil in this world, like those that partake in adrenochrome, do they come back as a lower life form in this realm, thus living in hell on earth, or is hell a different dimension? Hell is thinking, is past or future. The solution to hell is the vibration of L. It's within the word itself. Evil, you put D, which is form, the fourth letter of the alphabet. Four is form, but also FOUR, which is RF, which is our matter. Evil, the D, is the devil. It's a concept. You know, the adrenochrome itself, people wish to partake in these things. It's fine, but it's not my experience. So what they experience is their truth at that particular time. So hell it is suffering. And those that will be damned or in damnation of eternal hell is those that continually recycle the information of a negative perception, creating limitations of suffering that repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. And those that have experienced hell will find freedom in God, God being the present moment, seeing that which you truly are or seeing from yourself. When you find God, all shall be forgiven. How do you find God? Letting go of all concepts, even the behavior that you were in the past, because it's gone. You're here and now, and you have unlimited capacity to be. So when you be, you're free. There is no judgment in God. There is no judgment in God. Does one see and recognize this truth? Those that do not judge find their very freedom. It doesn't matter what you did in the past. You rethink the past, it comes, it backs, it lives, it haunts, it's a ghost, it's a G-host. It is a thinking thought. It is a non-truth. It is a illusion. And you're here. It doesn't matter what you did previously to this very moment, as long as you don't suffer from it.
So no thinking at all.
To see without thinking is the greatest thing you can do.
But you know, a lot of people are, let's say, occupied in the, and I mention it a lot, the law of attraction and manifesting, and visualizing and these things. That's a form of thinking, wouldn't it be?
Well, you know, thinking happens automatically.
So the
You know, it's like a
okay,
distraction, swinging monkey, the natures of the unanswered unconscious behavior, the recycling of past. But to contemplate is not past.
so that's
Contemplate is
contemplation.
now. Yeah, I mean, the word contemplation is the correct word because it says see on a template, temple 8, to see on the temple 8, the reciprocation, the energy field of this temple. You have the ability to utilize one's awareness to see, like right now, even contemplation, you can create forms, have experiences, even conversations with the great Shiva. Real vivid understanding, real conversation, real play, real dance, anything that you wish to experience is available deep in your true contemplation. Anything. But one's attention goes from the contemplation to the mind. Whoa, that. And then they start to think. But can you not think and be very contemplative? And can you be so free that you are meditation itself? Pure cosmic balance, pure here, nothing pulling you this way, nothing pulling you that way, nothing too, focused on food because you haven't got a belief, you're not trying to change anything, nothing to this side, left wing or right wing. Are you left or right wing? Well, what about if I was central? Where's the center that both wings are attached to, and I have no judgment to either of them because they just are what they are? And then I become free. We
So
trap
if,
ourselves.
being here and now at all times is the best way to go. I was just asked about a week ago. There's a because of my previous activities in being, let's say, open with conspiracies and all these things. So I was asked to do say some words on the demonstration this coming Saturday in the city. And I was like sitting down trying to think like how do I approach it, what do I say, and these things. And I have a general idea, but there seems to be some resistance in getting something down on paper. Would you go just go in and
See, if you try to prescript you'll be thinking,
yeah,
because you'll be saying, well, what did I think about? Then you lose the moment and you've lost your presence and now you stumble.
yeah,
I've never scripted anything. I've never planned. I have never done anything that I do. It just is what it is, and I accept that. The more you practice that, the more you separate yourself from the thinker as well. So it's an expanse. It's more of an evolution. Demonstrate. Demon. What's demon?
demon.
To demonstrate is to show something that's done. So to demon is to remove oneness.
Oh,
ST is time wave physical. RA is the reciprocation. So to demonstrate is to show something that is not now. You don't need to do demonstration because it's already been done. Just do you, speak you. And then your true nature will come through and nobody can do you like you.
true. It's just that like it's not that I'm used to speaking in front of crowds, but then it's back to the trust, right? To just know that
That situation has arisen because you're ready to develop yourself. You're ready to expand again. So this opportunity has come, the opportunity to tune it. So in this moment that you feel, you stand up and there's emotion, you feel these energy centers start to spin, you feel maybe a slight blockage here, but you breathe and you take your time, you come to a peace before you speak, and that way you add just to yourself, and then you're free from thinkingness, of fear, of what if. Don't think for others, don't think for yourself. You see, most people think for themselves and what others will be thinking about them, and this will cause separation. Just be free. And that's the art of what's happening to you during your evolutionary process right now. And it continues. And the more you do this and apply yourself, the more free and the more opportunities arise for you. Everything that's happening to you is for you. Now, you're in a certain level of space right now. This is going to expand you. And no matter what happens, okay, you believe, you think that you slipped up and you said something you shouldn't. Right? Do you want to focus on that thought, or do you want to just surrender that? And it is and it was what it was, and now I'm here. That there is an ability to be able to direct attention away from this exacerbated noise that's happening. Another practice, another expansion, another evolution, another freedom, another letting go, and another weight lifted off your shoulders. Holding up a person is very heavy, very difficult, very energetically wasting.
so then I'll just have to go on stage and trust that what's supposed to be said will be said.
Absolutely. Say
Mm.
what you perceive to be true,
Exactly, and
not
that was my
what.
thought. I
Yeah.
was just thinking if and I wasn't gonna script like a whole speech. I was just gonna maybe take words just to
No.
to no,
No.
no.
Slow yourself down. Be very slow in your nature. And even if you have to stop and wait, be comfortable, and it will be handed to you. You try fixated on this one word. What does that word mean, and what is attached to this word, and what was I trying to think of when I was trying to remember what this word said? A distraction. It's a mind game. You already know what you know. There's no one going to be able to. You're not going to be able to change what you know already.
Mhm.
You know it. So all you need to do is just be still enough to let it come through you. But this is a great practice, and I'm happy to hear it.
Well,
It's a
we'll see.
great thing happening for you.
Yeah, that's it's the old me, you can say, would never accept something like that. Who enjoys or uh, uh, willingly go up in front of a big crowd and speak. That's something we have from school. You're scared to go up to the teacher, and
Yeah, of course.
it's ingrained in you. So, but I have done this contract with myself that I will not say no. If opportunities like that arise, I will not say no.
Mhm.
And there's not been it's not been uh, any nervousness or anxiousness or anything around it. So it's what it is, and
Well,
it's
if there was, I mean, you still must evolve past that concept of nervousness and anxiousness because that's your limitation.
mm,
Even the anticipation, the it's not here, and yet you're already feeling emotion from it.
mm,
I'm not saying you are. But one is
yeah,
already
yeah.
feeling emotion in the anticipation and the fear of arisal. There's something which just is going to happen, and see, that's the very training that one has in its work to purity. But if one doesn't take these opportunities that arise for them, you stay limited. Everything is happening for your expansion.
um I see Joy Austin has a good question, or what can you say about shadow work?
This is shadow work.
This is shadow work.
Yeah, this is shadow work. Shadows, hidden things which aren't true, and they disappear when light is put on them.
Mm.
We're bringing light to these things. So all we're doing is the shadows that we have inside of ourselves, like the fears, the anxieties, the depressions, all these things, these limited limitations, these imitations. We must become free. Whether we tackle each one slow and steady, and we come to realization that there are illusions and not real. And once we have come to that realization, we can leave that shadow away and we've brought light and it disappears. It's just the same as a demon or a ghost. Um, Ghosts can never be seen. The word ghost has host. G is 7. It's a ghost that exists within inside your sine wave, or a host, you could say. It's a parasite sucking your energy. You're giving your energy to something which isn't real. That's why when you have fear, you become so drained because of the system and how it releases adrenaline and cortisol, stress hormones. Stress is very taxing and it's very destructive and catabolic to your body, to your whole system. So, this is shadow work. Everything that you're doing, Brother Austin, is your shadow work. Shadows can be completely destroyed by turning on the true source of light. But again, a slow and steady pace will always win the race. And this is the rat race or the rat's race. Turn it backwards, it says E, car. Car is to carry your carriage. E is the ether, the blue shift, the red and blue reciprocating, and the E is what you need. And rats backwards is a star. This is where you start, or to start. You are a star, a sine wave physical, the alpha, reciprocating, searching for a true reciprocator within the E. This is why ego. You must go to the E.
Mm.
Ego.
We will do a designated ego episode.
Yeah, the ego is a very clever thing.
Mm.
Well, it is intelligence, so it
But it
has to
is
be clever.
needed. Is it, or is it to be totally abolished?
Well, it's a tool. It
Yeah.
can be used, but it uses everyone else as its domination. This is why conspiracies, are very attractive to the ego because it has more power, more intellect, more knowledge to be able to feel more powerful about itself.
So it's supposed to sit in the back seat and shut up, not
Yeah,
drive.
I mean, when the ego even finds spirituality, is excited because there's more power there. But the ego traps itself because as you unveil spirituality, the true nature of it, you destroy the very thoughts which are of the mind ego. So then the ego kind of destroys itself.
Yeah, so it's a gradual destruction. It's
Mm.
not like a
It
you know.
can be, but I feel like the best way for everyone, it's found here and now. But is one able to find it here and now without going through the process? Possibly, very rarely. But those that have found trueness, I feel for me, it's that slow and steady revelations that happen inside yourself through your own experiences, because it must be found through yourself. You can reveal God to yourself, but when you shut yourself down here and you try to be peaceful, the mind itself is going to activate and you're going to hear voices, etc. Now, your awareness can be aware of that. And then you start to utilize different levels of awareness to bring attention away from that, which then it gets taken back. And over time, as a continual practice, you have to destroy your fear. All fear is illusion. You have to destroy your anger because all this anger is attached to an expectation that something should be different. You know, things can be felt within inside the body as a reaction. Natural. Let's say a car comes past, nearly hits you, and then there's a fight or flight response very quickly, but you should be able to settle that down within 2-3 seconds and resume as normal without talking about it to everyone that you've met, in that day or the next day. I nearly got hit by a car, wanted to offload and to pull people in. And this is the nature of the ego.
Mm. To answer Third Eye Trader, we do have backups. He's just asking about the shows.
You do have a backup?
I do. Normally forget to hit record, but I download it very quickly from YouTube before it has a chance to have happen anything. Normally I hit record, but today, for example, I forgot. But I always be sure I download it from YouTube, so I have every show backed up.
Okay. But yeah, so beautiful. Is there any more questions? Just what do you think about a little country, Austria, pushing the agenda so hard? I just think each country is, really a different business and has different uh, presidents, you could say, and every corporation has a different uh, belief. And those beliefs themselves are perfect in what they are and everything that you see. I mean, I think Costa Rica and right now and a few other countries like that, they don't have any restrictions. But I think it's holiday season, so the money's trying to come in. Then you'll see them switch. But none of it really matters. None of it really does. If you get yourself there or you get yourself somewhere where you want to be, you'll find an opportunity, you'll find a time. We've got all these wonderful people within our family. People are starting to live all over this earth. Community is there. Whether it's 1, 2, 3, you all support each other. You're there. This journey is about the self, your family, the evolution of life. Just to experience what it's like. I mean, the proper Thai that people live in, especially in the cold environments that you could say the unfortunate, the slaves exist in. It's unfortunate that they don't get to experience that until they leave, but it's necessary for that push. Once you see that, I'm in a box, the house is very square, I have to pay for all these ills, you just break free. But applying it, don't sit down and have fear and wish that you could be with it. Go and experience it and trust. Let go and see that all your fears were illusions. And life is good, very, very good, once you become free from yourself, or your person, should I say, the persona. It's the mask, the limitations, the ID entity, the identity. And you can never see through the eyes of God, or God could never see through the eyes of this person. Never. Only found in contextless, conceptless seeing. Immaculate purity, silence, peace. Peace. P is light. E and A, red and blue shift. CE. To see. E and A, light, is peace. Taurus, energy, freedom. Freedom, the dominion. Dom is also the form, the solution within the word is D, form, O, void, M, balance. Balance your void within form. Free, Free, matter that rightfully establishes to the ether. D, form, void, balance. The word freedom itself expresses that your matter must rightfully establishes with the E, which is the blue shift, the divine feminine, and the form, void, is balanced. Freedom. It's all about balance. Not too much yin, not too much yang. Just here, balance.
Sister Lisa, she says, does the ego get more volatile the further down the path you go? It seems to be that way with me.
I mean, when you start to become very aware of it, of course, yeah, the ego's very much noisy, very much destructive if your attention goes there. But the simplest solution for that is to just take attention off it into the moment again with full attention. You can't really, you have to get lost in the moment. Ment, mind, mo, m, balance, center number 13, o, void. A balanced void in the mind is the moment. It's found here, balanced in perfection inside the mind. This is why the solutions are here within inside the words that were created within inside the mind for your freedom. People say etymology is still a concept that's been created within inside the illusion, but to see beyond that, to see what I see within inside the words was to observe the language itself, myself, with no concept, just see and watch shapes, geometry, alignment, synchronicities between all words, phonetics, vibrations, and it reveals itself. Revelation, R-Eve, what's Eve is even. R, reciprocation, EVE. And then you see the L, the I on it. It's just beautiful. Beautiful. So yeah, the ego itself does become, as your awareness starts to see the ego, it is the swinging monkey in your house crashing down all of your glass, furniture, and the noisy road. You just bring your attention fixated, and all that noise stops, and then you can go back and you can see it in its destructive way, and then your attention can say, I'm going to be here. You can really utilize the magic and sweeten every perception that you have, so you can look at the bright side of life to be right. That's bright. So you continually change the way that the mind is perceiving it. Children screaming? No. They're not screaming. They're expressing. They're having fun as such. Attune that and see that they're just life doing what they're doing. And if it's wrong in your perception, let's say, and they have learned from Babylon, then there's a way to be able to shape and shift their ego to more beauty, to more peace within inside themselves. And if one has the attention on the children, they can see how they can manipulate this for them as a guide instead of a teller. Do this, but I'll do something else. I wake up every day with kisses and my baby daddy, I love you so much, ma. Holding my face, my baby daddy. Every day.
Fantastic.
Kisses, hugs. It's beautiful. But it's my experience for me because of the choices that I have made in my freedom and my elevation and my application to my truth, which has expanded me. There's no belief here anymore. There's no questions. I'm questionless and beliefless. That's so freeing. So freeing. And all I wish is for everyone to be able to go through these experiences themselves. And it's a choice. And it's down to you. So come and evolve with us. Come and meet the community of practitioners and high vibrational beings that just love. xfamunity.com. Come and see.
You have to come if you haven't been or are there. It's about that time, Josh.
Yes, I think this is not going to scare too many people off by the length of it.
No, we're still good.
I appreciate your time and everyone's time who's here with us.
Yeah, thank you all so much. It seems to be a crew, weekly crew that gets the live. So that's perfect, and we thank you very much for your presence. The hardcore
Thank you
fans.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. We will be back next Thursday. Oh, there actually might be an issue next week. I will, because you see, I'm going away on it's actually a weekend of fun with a couple of friends driving some 4x4 vehicles in the rough terrain. So we are leaving Thursday, actually.
Well, you must do that which you need to do. Everyone will surely be very happy about your return this strong after.
I'm gonna go a few rounds with myself. I might be able to make it happen anyway. You know, it's I can do it on the phone. It's you can see. I will see what feels right.
Beautiful. Well, what will be, and thank you all again for your time. Thank you for letting me have this space, and thank you, brother, for holding it. It's been a great pleasure again.
Thank you, Josh. We all love you very much. I can tell, I think I speak for everyone. And appreciate you, and very grateful that you give us your time.
You're very
and
welcome.
your noses. So, thank you, everybody. See
Have
you.
a beautiful evening, day, afternoon. Lots of love.
Lots of love. Bye-bye. Thank you, brother.